Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time, folks. This is incredible new information. A new poll by Navigator shows that most voters, most Americans do not think that President Biden and Congress are focusing on the jobs and economy in the United States of America. In other words, most voters think that the White House and Congress are not focused on jobs and economy. In other words, the Build Back Better plan is actually disconnected from everyday concerns of the American people. Welcome to our channel, everyone. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time, and I welcome you to our channel. Now, if you're not a subscriber yet, if you're not a member of our community yet, please consider clicking the like button, please click subscribe, and please enable notifications. I'm actually going to walk you through some of the incredible data in this new Navigator poll, and we'll show you the poll on your screen right now. So what's very clear is that it appears that President Biden and Congress are meeting what Americans want as far as pandemic priorities are concerned, but there's a disconnect when it comes to the jobs and economy. This is incredible, folks. And look, you already know this and I already know this, but this is the first time that we actually have an official poll that actually exposes this. So this is, this is wide open for all of us to see. So 60% of Americans say that the economy should be a top issue for President Biden and Congress to focus on. And 38% say they feel President Biden and Congress are actually focused on it. So when those who were surveyed were asked to select the top 4 issues that they felt are the most important for President Biden and Congress to focus on. This is fascinating. The number 1 issue was jobs and economy. The number 2 issue was the pandemic. Now let's take a look at some of the other issues because this is very interesting. The number 3 issue was immigration, followed by inflation, followed by healthcare, Social Security and Medicare, climate change, extreme weather, corruption in government, national security, violent crime, the situation in Afghanistan, and finally abortion. Now, this nationwide survey was a survey of registered voters, and each wave represents approximately 1,000 interviews taken over a period of 3 to 5 days. Now, when I say each wave, you can see that they did this survey on the 13th of September, then again on the 27th of September, and then again on the 11th of October. So again, this is data that's available from navigatorresearch.org, and we'll provide you with a link to that website in the description section below. So what's extremely fascinating is that 60% of those who were surveyed said that jobs and the economy should be the number 1 issue that was the most important for President Biden and Congress to focus on. The pandemic was number 2, immigration number 3, and inflation number 4. Now, this gets even more interesting. Now, as it turns out, when individuals were asked which of these issues do you feel President Biden and Congress are actually most focused on, the survey respondents actually said 60% of them said that the main focus of the Biden administration was the pandemic. 38% of them said that it was the jobs and economy. And again, this is extremely surprising because what this tells us is that Americans feel that the Build Back Better plan is not addressing what we want, and what we want is jobs and the economy. Now again, this is something that was revealed in the Navigator research survey. So again, it seems that President Biden and Congress are meeting Americans' expectations on dealing with the pandemic, on the widespread distribution of the vaccines, on trying to make sure that this doesn't spread and do further damage to our economy. But as far as creating jobs and as far as bolstering the economy are concerned, it seems like Americans are not happy with what President Biden and Congress are doing. So I want to know what you think. Do you agree or disagree with this entire thesis? Because folks, what is actually fascinating is that we have a situation here where President Biden is trying to pass the Build Back Better plan, and I've covered this extensively on our channel because of extensive opposition from the conservative Democrat from West Virginia, Joe Manchin, and Senator Kristen Sinema from Arizona. The $3.5 trillion package effectively became a $1.75 trillion package. In other words, it was cut by half as a direct result of opposition from conservative Democrats like Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. But this is the first time we are seeing actual data from our fellow Americans, from individuals like you and me, registered voters who are saying, hey man, We need to now focus more on the jobs and economy, more on creating jobs, more on the economy, and less on the pandemic, because we seem to have conquered the pandemic and the pandemic is now potentially behind us. So, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree with the results of this survey? Let me know in the comment section below. My personal opinion is that we definitely need to increase the focus on the jobs and the economy. And I believe the Build Back agenda is trying to do that, trying to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs for which an advanced college degree, for which advanced credentials are not going to be required. This is what President Biden is trying to do. Maybe do a better job communicating it, I believe. I think the White House, if they did a better job communicating that, we wouldn't have this kind of a disconnect that we seem to be having based on the results of this survey. So, what do you feel about this entire situation? Do you think that the White House and Congress are on the right track with the Build Back Better agenda, which, I want to be clear, does not include stimulus checks, does not include an extension of unemployment benefits? I'm not going to string you along and give you false hope that that might happen, but I am here to tell you that Americans feel that the focus of the administration needs to now shift away, needs to pivot away from extensively and obsessively focusing on the pandemic, which we seem to have conquered, which is now in the rearview mirror for the most part. And I have to be honest with you on a side note, I have always been masking during this pandemic. About 3 months ago, when I went to the post office, I saw an individual who, had his mask sort of down to his mouth. And that was a time when, masks were required in federal buildings. And I actually saw the clerk ask this individual to put his mask up to his nose. He pretended to do it. And the moment he was done, he whipped the mask out and he walked out. So I said to myself, he's probably frustrated wearing the mask. And I wasn't. But I have to tell you now, when I went grocery shopping today, I did it without a mask and it felt great. I'm sick and fed up of wearing the mask myself. And so I do understand the importance of eventually living our lives and putting this pandemic in the rearview mirror. But I do believe that overcompensating and focusing obsessively on vaccines and masking and social distancing is what has allowed us to get to a point where we can say, hey, it's in the rearview mirror. We all remember how the world was 6 months, a year ago, and there were countries that had a horrific impact with hundreds of thousands of people dying, more so than have been officially reported as a direct result of this pandemic. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that we have the luxury of now trying to focus on jobs and on the American economy because we have done an excellent job as a country. I really don't care who gets the credit, whether it's former President Trump or President Biden. What I care for is that we move forward as a country. And I believe we now have the luxury of trying to focus more on the economy simply because we've been able to put the entire pandemic in the rearview mirror. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please click like, please click subscribe, please enable notifications. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Please reward us by clicking like, by clicking subscribe, and by enabling notifications. Also follow me on Twitter. This right here is my Twitter feed. My Twitter handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.